After 781 days in prison, Shane and I are now free men. Last Wednesday, we had just finished our brief daily exercise in the open-air room at Evan Prison, where something totally unexpected happened. On any other day, we would have been blindfolded and led down the hallway back to our 8-foot by 13-foot cell. But on that day, the guards took us downstairs, they fingerprinted us, and they gave us street clothes. They didn't tell us where we were going. Instead, they took us to another part of the prison, where we saw Dr. Salam al-Ismaili, the envoy of His Majesty Sultan Qaboos of Oman. And the first thing Salam said when we got to him, he looked at us and he said, "Let's go home." Many times, too many times, we heard the screams of other prisoners being beaten, and there was nothing we could do to help them. Now, solitary confinement was the worst experience of all of our lives. It was a nightmare that Sarah had to endure for 14 months.
We were convicted of espionage because we are American. It's that simple. No evidence was ever presented against us. That is because there is no evidence, and because we are completely innocent. The 2 court sessions we attended were a total sham. They were made up of ridiculous lies that depicted us as being involved in an elaborate American-Israeli conspiracy to undermine Iran. Sarah, Josh, and I have experienced a taste of the Iranian regime's brutality. We've been held in almost total isolation from the world and everything we love, stripped of our rights and freedom. You may ask us, now that you are free, can you forgive the Iranian government for what it has done to you? Our answer is this. How can we forgive the Iranian government when it continues to imprison so many other innocent people and prisoners of conscience? It is the Iranian people who bear the brunt of this government's cruelty and disregard for human rights. There are people in Iran who are imprisoned for years simply for attending a protest, for writing a pro-democracy blog, or for worshiping an unpopular faith. Journalists remain behind bars and innocent people have been executed. If the Iranian government wants to change its image in the world and ease international pressure, it should release all political prisoners and prisoners of conscience immediately. They deserve their freedom just as much as we do. This was never about crossing the unmarked border between Iran and Iraq. We were held because of our nationality. Indeed, there are many other cases of unauthorized entry to Iran in which people were simply fined or deported after a short time. We do not know if we crossed the border. We will probably never know. But even if we did enter Iran, that has never been the reason why the Iranian authorities kept us in prison for so long.
In prison, we lived in a world of lies and false hope. The investigators lied that Ambassador Loy from the Swiss embassy in Tehran did not want to see us. They told us, again falsely, that we would be given due process and access to our lawyer, the courageous and persistent Mr. Masoud Shafi. Most infuriatingly, they even told us that our families stopped writing us letters. Releasing us is a good gesture, and no positive step should go unnoticed. We applaud the Iranian authorities for finally making the right decision regarding our case. But we want to be clear. They do not deserve undue credit for ending what they had no right and no justification to start in the first place. From the very start, the only reason we had been held hostage is because we are American.
Well, we were under tremendous psychological pressure. I was in solitary confinement, and I was constantly threatened that if I rocked the boat in any way, I would never see Shane and Josh again, or I would never see my family again. But we were never under any pressure to confess, though Shane and Josh and I decided from the very beginning that we would never do this. Well, this is something that Shane and Josh and I are going to be speaking and writing about at great length in the future. But I will echo what Shane and Josh said, that one of the most, and perhaps the most, other than the loss of contact with our families, difficult experiences was hearing the screams of other prisoners. It didn't happen very often, but it doesn't have to happen often for it to leave an indelible mark on your soul and your conscience. It's something that I'll never forget.